long-awaited GPT-5 has finally arrived. We are still within the first week since the release. So as of today, it was released 5 days ago, and I'm just looking through the news on Google search, and my first impression is that it doesn't look as bad as it usually does, since basically since the last 5 years or so, maybe even more, we are in this constant cycle whenever a new thing AI related, even model or application of a model, like with the agents and agentic coding, every time the same thing repeats. So there is a new thing that comes, and we claim that basically, or people claim that it can do everything or almost everything. Humans at this point are just irrelevant or obsolete, especially software engineers, and the things that it cannot do yet, it will be able to do within the next couple days, weeks, or maybe at most months. Yeah, and one model is released, we claim it about this model, then the next model is released, and we forget all our claims from the previous one, and we move to the next one, and so on. And this was definitely the case when, for example, GitHub released the agents. I made a video about that. And right now it looks like people are really getting the reality check and are getting disappointed in those claims. So of course, some people still are claiming that we are in AGI era, it has arrived, GPT-5 can do everything, but a lot of things here are really skeptical and even critical of the claims that the company OpenAI, which is behind the GPT-5, is making, which seems to be a little bit strange, or not something that I was expecting. And for example, here someone claims it's here finally, but not everything people dreamt it would be. Yeah, so some kind of skepticism, some kind of criticism, and so on. And another headline: OpenAI says GPT-5 is smartest model to date, and it's quote unquote smartest, as if they are also doubting the claims. Okay, but let me just give you a couple of examples why, at least in my take from the small testing that I did during the past couple days, it looks like almost nothing has changed. And if not, even things got slightly worse as compared to the previous models, especially this O3 thinking model. So here is an example of a prompt that I gave it just a couple minutes ago. Draw a map of Europe with names of most famous, here spelling error, people from each country. And that's what this PhD level scientist, AGI, above human intelligence, generated. As you can see, there is a map. It's a map of Europe, but there are definitely some mistakes. For example, here the shape of Poland looks more or less accurate, but the most famous person from Poland, it claims that is Poland itself. And what about what country is this? So here is Estonia, here is Latvia, I suppose. Yeah. So the most famous person from Latvia is Poland as well. And the most famous person from from Ukraine is Aristotle. And the most famous person from Turkey is Dimitrov. The most famous person from Algeria is Michelangelo, and so on. Yeah, so there is some accuracy to it. There are even some of the shapes of the countries are not really correct, but there is, of course, a lot of inaccurate statements that not a single human would make, I suppose, or maybe not a single, like, at least average intelligent person would never claim those kinds of things. Yeah, so don't get me wrong, I think it's a great tool. I'm using it all the time, different models, and also in different scenarios. But what I try to what I try to tell, and what's my half or part of my mission on this channel, is just to not exaggerate the claims, and make things as or say things as accurately as possible. So if something is not really so intelligent, then don't make those claims. And let me just generate another image. So just from this one example, you can already be sure that there is no AGI here. Yeah, we are not yet in this era, but let's make another example. Let's say this was geography. So now we can ask it something about physics. So make a drawing with an atom, and it will generate it as I'm speaking. So nothing that I prepared previously, and accurate forces on it according to the model. And of course, I'm not specifying the model. So if a human would get such a command or would hear such a statement, they would, for example, ask, what is that model that you are talking about? What exactly do you want? And but of course, it doesn't ask those questions. It simply has to generate some kind of output based on that. And let us see what kind of output it would be. And as I said, I'm a big fan of AI. I'm a big fan of LLMs, machine learning, everything related to that. I think is a very great and useful tool. I'm not a fan of lying about what can they do. That's the only thing that I am against. And let's wait. It's still generating and see how it will go. And we arrived. Let's see. And here is this extremely accurate scientific model of an atom, yeah, with some curves around it and extremely big protons, I guess. And are those both electrons? Are those neutrons? What kind of model it is? There's electromagnetic force. There is a strong nuclear force which goes outward from the atom, and there is even gravitational force here. So extremely accurate physics. And let's just give some other example, but maybe right now not image generation, but something else. And let's maybe ask it a question. So ask it to explain something to us. Explain, for example, how does blockchain works, or how does a blockchain work? Sorry, that works. Yeah, and what I want to show is that it always follows this very annoying template with those highlights at the beginning of every point, with headers which are always counted, like starting from 1, and it cannot really break from that prepared template, which tells me that more or less it's just the same thing as it was before. Since I remember it at least from GPT-3 days, yeah, it's always this very annoying repetitive template, which of course in this answer you will find a lot of accurate information, but also a lot of noise. Yeah, and if it was truly, at least I imagine this, if it was truly intelligent, you would find much more variety in the way it responses. It builds its responses, and here for sure there are like prepared prompts which are added on top of the prompts that we are that we are sending, or maybe it's inside the model itself. But anyway, it's not truly intelligent if it's always following exactly the same pattern. And the other thing, just one more thing before we move to the next one about this, is that nowadays, like the internet, or especially LinkedIn, Reddit, and so on, Quora, are full of texts which are following this template, which are obviously GPT or some other model generated. And it's just so obvious that it all comes from the same source and that it's all using this same template. So I'm not trying to attack anyone, but just it's very easy to spot, and it's something which I think is not really a sign of true intelligence. And the next thing is this annoying overselling voice whenever you ask it about generating like some small sentence or a paragraph to describe anything. Yeah, it's always try to use hyperbole. It always use this overselling voice and so on. So let me give you an example. Generate a small paragraph caption for my Instagram post about what? About dogs. Let's say. And of course, spelling error. I'm always doing this. Yeah, life's better with a wagging tail and a wet nose. Dogs don't just steal our hearts, they teach us pure joy, unconditional love, and how to live in the moment. Yeah. So I already knew that it will do it. It cannot really stop itself or just generate something which sounds a little bit less robotic or a little bit more human. It always have this overly joyful and overselling tone whenever you try to ask it to generate like those small pieces of text. Yeah, so those are basically, for me, in my short take, proofs that there is no huge leap forward, at least not general leap forward between this model and other models, and is more or less exactly the same thing. Maybe there are some niche applications which I haven't seen yet, but I'm not saying that they aren't. I just tested it with a couple examples that I'm doing and I'm using in my daily life just to see how it compares to the previous models. And probably there are those niche applications where it exceeds all other models, and maybe that's why those benchmarks are so good. But at least for 99% of use cases, which I suppose everyone, like every normal human, has, and which is using those models that day to day, there won't be any big change or no change at all. And another thing is, let me just copy something from here. So a lot of people are using it for text improvement and also for code generation. And in both cases, I've seen it suffering from the very similar problem. So it has a very short window in which it can remember things. Let me just copy the first chapter from this book. This is some very famous book. I think it's called like Adventures or something like this of Gulliver. Gulliver's travels into several remote regions of the world. Yeah, so I will claim that this first chapter is the chapter that I generated, and I will ask it to improve the wording. Improve the wording in my chapter, or say, yeah. And when you exit the window, I think that this first chapter should exit this very short window. It will just simply start forgetting everything that you inputted, even within the single prompt, and will just disregard very important parts of your prompt. Yeah, so the same thing happens with code. You ask it to fix some bug or maybe add a new feature into your code, and if the code snippet that you give it is big enough, it maybe will do the thing that you asked it to do, but in the same time, it will remove a lot of important stuff. Yeah, and I think that it will happen here as well. I'm not sure since I haven't tested it before, but the way I want to check is just to count the words. Yeah, and if there's less words in the output, then probably it removed a lot of stuff. But maybe this single chapter was too small and it really remembered everything. So this is the improved chapter. And improved chapter has 900 words. And the original chapter chapter has 4,000 words. Yeah. So it was enough with those 4,000 words to exceed this input window. And basically, it started to forget everything. No, maybe not everything, but probably a lot of important stuff. Yeah. Since you asked it, or we asked it to improve the wording, meaning that we want to preserve the overall meaning and the paragraphs and everything else. We just want to have better wording in our sentences, but it just removed 75% of the text. And this is the thing that happens a lot. And I'm not necessarily against it. I know that they have physical limitations for those models. They cannot be they cannot operate with infinite amount of texts, at least not now, but who knows, maybe in a couple days or couple weeks when AGI finally arrives. But what would be nice is if there was like at least some remark or some warning from it saying that this is too much for me. I will just give you a shorter version of your text, and that's it. Or just it could mark or start improving the first part, which is not exceeding its input window. Yeah, and that would be already a big improvement. And of course, it's not doing it; it's just removing stuff, and the same thing happens with code. Probably other people have other ways in which they are using it, and they are also suffering from the similar thing. But all in all, it tells me that it's just either the same or just slightly better than other GPT models, and it's no AGI or no huge leap forward. And that was it about my criticism, which is not really a criticism of the model itself. It's just the criticism of the lies that people are just always propagating about anything that is AI related whenever it's new. Yeah, that's what I'm against. I'm not against using it. I'm using it myself, and I think it's cool. Just please don't say that it can do everything or that it can do things that it cannot do. And one thing that is positive, to not be overly negative, here on my website, I have a tool which I call LaTeX Renderer, which I developed some time ago. And I used GPT-5 to add a couple new features, mainly to be able to draw over the rendered output and to be able to highlight and to be able to erase with the eraser. And does it work? Let me check. It works like this. I already forgot how it works since I did it a couple days ago, and then I haven't used it since. Yeah, and it works more or less okay. And I think that it is a very good use case for such tools, but definitely couldn't do it just on its own, and it needed a lot of guidance from me. It also introduced bugs along, and just to add those four like three and the color button as well, four buttons to this tool in pure JavaScript, it took me around 2 hours, maybe even 3 hours, and and definitely it's not something which can generate any amount of code which is perfect from the get-go and doesn't require any kind of supervision like some people claim and makes software engineers obsolete. Yeah, so it's a great tool. You can play with it, can get very cool results, but still requires a lot of skill and a lot of supervision from humans. So at least as of now, you cannot just leave it alone and ask it to do something with a very vague description, since it will introduce very a lot of bugs. Yeah, and that's not good if you want to have a product that's more than a demo. Yeah, in a demo, then they can just generate any amount of bugs. No one will care. They are just showing it for 5 seconds, and no one will use it later. Yeah, so that's a positive thing. But probably I would be also able to do it with the previous models. Yeah, so it is useful, but not like 100 times more useful than what we had before.